right, hey everybody. Good morning, everyone. I think we can get started. But to start off, is there any questions, any doubts, anybody? Let me know in the chat box if you guys have any questions, any doubts still here. Okay, seems like nobody has no questions, no doubts. So let's get started. Agenda for today is to complete a little bit more parts of list, and then we'll move to the next kind of collection data type, which is tuples. Okay. So to start off with, if you remember, like we learned yesterday, that we can use for loop on top of list, right? Like we can loop over a list using a for loop, right? So let's say I have a use case where I want to create a list of squares of numbers between 1 and 5, right? So let's say I have this question. Can you guys give me the code of what will be the right code to complete this Python question? Can you guys give me the code? Okay, so my question is that I want to create a list of squares of numbers between 1 and 5. Can you guys give me the code for that? What would be the right code for this? Okay, I got one code. What about others? Anybody else who can give me the code for the same? What would be the code that you will write to create a list of squares of numbers between 1 and 5? All right, good. Right. So if I have to create a list of squares between numbers 1 and 5, I will loop through the numbers and I will find the squares and add it to a list, right? Ideally, that's what I will do. So let's say I create an empty list. Like this is how you will do it, right? You will create an empty list. You will loop through a range of numbers. And then append the square of it. And finally, when you print squares, you will see it says a list of all the squares between numbers 1 and 5. Right? Everybody's clear till here. This basic understanding is clear for everyone. Guys, what about others? I would need a yes or no. Because if you're not clear with this basic understanding, it will be tough to learn the next part. Can I get a yes or no if this basic understanding is clear? All right. Now, to do this task, instead of writing so many lines of code, right, and instead of making it such a big code, you can make it even more shorter and even more faster. And that is called as list comprehension, right? So list comprehension is nothing but a shorter and faster way to create lists in Python, right? Instead of writing multiple lines with loops and etc., you can just create a list in just one line. That's called list comprehension. Like in this same thing that I did over here, if I had to write it with a list comprehension, I would have written it like squares equals to. Now you are defining a list and you are defining the list and you're storing it in the variable squares, right? Same how you were doing it over here. You were defining an empty list and then you were appending values to that list, right? Same way here also I'll define the list, store it in a variable named squares. Now within square bracket is where I will put my list comprehension code, and this is where the list will get created and stored at the same time. So what is my for loop? For I in range 1 comma 6. And once I'm running my for loop, what am I actually appending to the for loop? I into I. So I will write I into I initially, right? And now let me just print uh, the list. You see the same list got created. So the syntax is actually very simple. You define the list with square brackets, and within the square brackets, first thing that you give is expression. What is the expression or what is the actual thing that you want to add to the list? And then you give your for I in sequence. Whatever is your for loop. That's called list comprehension. Both do the same thing, but just that this one, the list comprehension one, is more shorter, cleaner, and faster, right? So you start with your expression, the one that you want to store in the list, whatever you want to store in the list. I want to store the squares in the list, so that's what I have mentioned here. Then you give your for loop, and in your for loop you can give the iterate a variable, and you can give your sequence exactly same way that you have learned before, right? And the best or the easiest way to write a list comprehension is, once you start your square bracket, first define the for loop and then write the expression. It makes it easier for you to write the code, right? For example, if I want to create a list of numbers from 1 to 10. So I can just quickly write n equals to, what is my for loop here? For I in range 1 comma 11. What is the expression? What do I want to add to the list? Or what do I want to store in the list? Numbers, just the simple numbers. So my expression here will be I. And just print n. See, it will store all the numbers from 1 to 10. Got it? Is it clear till here, everyone? What about the rest of you guys? Are you guys clear as well? Anybody who wants me to repeat, anybody who wants me to talk about it again, can you please let me know?
So Meghna, it should be used only with the range. Huh? Can we use it with anything else?
You can have any sequence over here. Any sequence. It's not just a range. Anything iterable or sequence. It can be a string also. It can be a list, another list also.
Okay.
How a normal for loop runs, the same thing. Anybody else, any other questions, or are we good? Others, guys, can you please let me know if you guys are clear or not? Bhavna, Ankala, Payal, Charko, Pooja, Ramarao, Sandeep. What about you guys? Are you guys clear? All right. So along with these expressions and the for loop, you can also add a if condition, but that's completely optional. But you can add an if condition if you want. That if condition is like, it will filter items before adding. Like for example, let's say I want to create a list of even numbers between 1 and 20. Now for this, what would have I done? I would have created an empty list, then I would have run through my loop. Then I would have checked if I mod 2 is equals to 0. If it is 0, which means it is divisible by 2, only then I would have appended my I to the list and I would have finally printed E. So that's how I would have stored the even numbers in a particular list. To do this in a single line using list comprehension, I'll start with my for loop for I in range 1 comma 21. Then give your if condition. Like you can just go one by one over here. Then give your if condition. What is your if condition? If I mod 2 equals to 0. You don't need any colon or indentation over here. State your for loop space, give your if condition. Nothing else is required. What is your expression that you're adding at the end? I. So come back to the expression place and just mention I. And if you check E, the same list got formed over here as well. Got it? Was this clear for everyone? If you want, you can also run through a string as well. Like if, for example, if I write C equals to for ch in, let's say a string like Python ch. So I'm just running through each character of my string and storing it in a list. So if you see, all the items get stored individually in a list. So you can run through a string also, right? Or for example, let's say you have a list of names like Amy, Alex, Bob, Charlie. Alright. So as you can see over here, I've created a list of names. Okay. So names is a list that stores a list of names. Now let's say my use case is I want to create another list from this, from names, which start with A. Like I only want those items from my names which start with A. So for this, what would I do? I will create my list comprehension. Here, I will loop through my names, like I loop through each item in the names list. My condition is that if name starts with A, so there is this function we had learned about, right? Starts with. If name dot starts with A, which means this is true. If name starts with A, I will just append that name over here. And final output will be only the names that start with A. Right? Clear till here, everyone? Till here, is it clear? I just showed the variations of what and all you can run a for loop on. Is it clear till here? What about others? Can you please let me know? Right. Now, you can also add if else. Like till now, you only added if. You can also add if else. Like for example, let's say I want to create a result list based on if values are even or odd. Like if values are odd, I want to label them odd. Like I want to add a odd if the values are odd. If the values are even, I want to add a even, and etc. So, so I can create a list comprehension over here. Now let's say I'm running through a simple range. So for I in range 10, and you can give whatever is your if condition or else condition in this case. But since you have a if and else both, your if else will come before for. So this is a slight variation. Slight variation only when you have else as well. If you just have a simple if condition, you can add it as a condition. But if you have if and else, you have to add it as an expression. So before for loop, you will start writing if I mod 2 is equals to 0, then I would print it as even, else odd. And that would complete the code. So if you see for numbers that are even, it got it got added as even or else odd and etc. Got it? Is it clear till here? In very simple terms, within the square bracket, you're supposed to put whatever you want as output for that particular list. That's it, right? So here also I am looping through Python's for loop, and I'm looping through numbers from 0 to 9 because I've written range of 10. And then I've added my if and else condition before because there is an else also. If it would have been a simple if, I would have added it after for loop, how we had learned so far. Because there is also an else, it would get added in the place of expression, and it just checks if the number is divisible by 0, if the number is divisible by 2, it adds a even, else it adds a odd. Simple, right? So code goes through every number from 0 to 9, checks if it is even or odd, and puts the corresponding string into the new list, right? So we are good till here, everyone. I just got 3 responses. What about others? Are we good till here? All right. Can you guys quickly complete your execution till here if you guys are clear? Let me know once you're done. Let me know, guys, once you guys are done. Okay, I'll wait for 2 more minutes for others to also get completed. Okay, cool. Now, I want you guys to quickly practice on the topics we learned so far, because after this, we'll move on to tuples and it's a new topic. So, before we move on to tuples, I have few questions that I've sent you guys, and I've also put it up over here and sent it in the chat box. I want you guys to first solve this and then move to the next part. So, are you guys up for some problem solving? If you guys have started solving the problems, please comment a yes and let me know if you are, once you are completing a particular question, Just give the code for the same, and yeah, let me know once you're done as well. All right. Others, let me know with a yes once you start solving the questions. All right. Okay, are you guys done? I can see few answers. What about others? Other than 2 3 people, what about others? Are you guys done as well? Can others also update? Okay, cool. So is there any question that you have a doubt on specifically? If you don't have a doubt on a specific question, I'll just quickly give the answers for all the questions. First question is to create a list of cubes from the numbers 1 to 10. So I can just loop through a range of 1 to 10 and I can append the cube. So I to the power 3 will be cube, right? It has all the cubes from 1 to 10. Next question, list of odd numbers from 1 to 20. So for I in range 1 to 20, I only want the odd numbers, right? So my condition will be if I mod 2 is not equals to 0. So those will be my odd numbers like this. Third question, extract vowels from a given string. So if I have a text like data analytics, if I have to extract vowels from it, my only condition will be if the values or the characters are in A, E, I, O, U, those are vowels. So here I'm converting every character to lowercase and checking if they're in lower A, E, I, O, U, which means they will be basically a vowel, and those are the values that I'm actually adding to my final vowels list. So all the vowels got added over here. Even if it's a caps or like small case or uppercase character, it will still get captured over here. That's the reason why I converted it to lower. Fourth question, convert a name of list into uppercase. I think this is also pretty simple. You just have to convert it to uppercase using the using the function dot upper, right? And this is how you can convert them to uppercase, right? Next question, convert a list of temperatures into Fahrenheit. From Celsius, we have to convert them to Fahrenheit. All right. So let's say I have this list of Celsius temperatures, and now to convert it to Fahrenheit, I will just loop through the temperatures, and the final formula will be whatever is the formula. I've just written the same formula in my expression, and that converts all the Celsius to Fahrenheit over here. Right? Next question. Given a list of numbers, just give the positive and the even numbers. Yeah, this is also pretty simple. All my condition will be is that it should be greater than 0 and it should be divisible by 2. Those are the values which are actually positive and even as well, right? Which is 8 and 10. So number greater than 0 and divisible by 2. Last question. Given a price of 5 items, apply a 10% discount and print them. Hmm. So for this question, I was actually trying to also revise on the list that we learned in the last class as well. So in those situations, let's say I have a price list and my discounted will be nothing but once you apply the 10% discount, you calculate the new price, you append it to the discounted one, and you can print the old prices and the new prices as well. The same thing if you would have done in a list comprehension, you could have kept the expression and the for loop like for p in prices. I've just calculated the final price after 10% discount, and you will get the same values over here as well, right? So those complete all the questions that we had. Is that clear for everyone? All the questions were clear for everyone? Can I get a yes or no? What about the rest of you guys? Is it clear? All right, then let's move forward and start with the topic of tuples. So once you learn about list, right? List is like the major topic. Once you learn about list, learning about tuples, set, and dictionary becomes easy because they're mostly similar, and it will be easy for you to grasp as well, right? So tuples are also a collection data type just like list. And actually, tuple is exactly like a list, but with one big difference. So it's exactly like a list with one big difference, which is nothing but tuples are immutable, which means you know about mutability, right? Which means they cannot be changed. That means once you create a tuple, you can't add any value, remove any value, or even modify any element out of it. That's the only difference between tuple and list. Other than that, list and tuples have same functions, everything is same. The only difference is lists can be changed, modified, edited, removed, added, and etc. With tuples, nothing of that can be done. Then you might ask, then why do we even have tuples? If It is exactly like list. List can also be modified. It has the flexibility to be modified, edited, and etc. List has that. Tuple doesn't have that. Then why do we have tuples? The answer is, in situations where you know that your final collection of items do not need to be changed, you know it is fixed. In those cases, it's always better to use tuple, right? Even in most of the bigger codes, people prefer using tuples when there is no more code changes, because tuples are way more faster than list. The way they are designed in Python in the backend, tuples work much faster than list. So if you know your use case is such that you don't need any modification in the future, you can go for tuples instead of list, right? And lastly, tuples are basically defined by round brackets like this, right? So we will just quickly see that. Let's say I have a tuple of fruits. So I will define it within square brackets. And again, you can have duplicates. You can have multiple data types in it. All of that is same. Right? All of this is same. So if I print fruits, you will see it's a tuple. Now, if you check what is the type of F, it's a tuple, right? The key characteristics of tuples are similar to list, which means it is ordered, which means everything has a fixed order. Like how list has everything in a fixed order. That's why it's called ordered, right? You can access everything through index numbers, position numbers. Same with list. You can access items by index. So that means they are ordered. They're immutable, which means they cannot be changed. That's a characteristics. They allow duplicates and they can hold different data types. Right? So also one more thing, let's say I declare a tuple like this is equals to 1, comma 2, comma 3, comma a. Now this is also a valid declaration of tuple. But if I would have written something like t1 is equals to 9, comma 8, comma 7, and if I would have printed t1, that is also a valid tuple declaration. If you see the type of t, that is also a tuple. If you check the type of t1, that is also a tuple, which means tuples can also be defined without parenthesis as well. Later on, Python itself adds the parenthesis even if you don't define it. But yeah, it's better to define it within parenthesis for code readability as well, right? And one more thing, if you remember in list, it was possible to have, like it is possible to have an empty tuple over here also. Like how you had an empty list, you can have an empty tuple like this as well. But in list, if you remember, you were able to keep a single element also in a list. This would have also been considered a list, right? But with tuple, if you try to keep a single element, and if you try to put what is the type of t, it comes as integer. Even if you try to put it in square round brackets and define it, it will still be stored as integer. But my use case was I want to store a single element in a tuple. So you can't store a single element in a tuple this way. If you want to store a single element in a tuple, you'll have to define the tuple and give a comma. Give the single element and give a comma. And now if you check the type, it becomes a tuple. So these are slight variations that are there in the tuple. That's it. Other than that, the tuples that you have, you can access it the same way you did in list. Like you can similarly use the indexing and the numbering. You can still use the slicing as well. The slicing is also available. All of that. Indexing, slicing, everything is available. So when you want your data to not change, that's when you use tuples because they are faster. Like for example, let's say you are defining the list of weekdays. Now you know that weekdays will always be the same, right? From Monday to Sunday, the weekdays will always be the same. Nothing can get added, nothing can get changed. Those cases, you will define it in tuple because no one can even accidentally modify the tuple and etc. Like if you try to modify the tuple, writing f of 0 is now equals to, let's say, strawberry, it will throw an error saying tuple cannot support item assignment. So you can't modify it. And that's the best way. Like if you want to store a tuple of all the weekdays, the best way to store it is in tuple because it's faster, it cannot be modified, and etc. Right? Because Python knows what is a tuple's size and the content won't change. That's why Python uses less memory and processes it faster. That's why tuple is faster than list. Right? And tuples can also be used in dictionaries, and later on, when we learn dictionaries, you'll see that. List cannot be used in a dictionary. Tuples can be used in a dictionary as well, right? So, till here, is it clear for everyone? All the things that I spoke about, was it clear for everyone till here? In others also, let me know if you guys are clear or not. Anyone who wants me to repeat any part? All right. Next up, functions and operations in tuple. So again, you can use all the functions that you have used in list. All the functions can be used in tuple as well. So if you want to check the length, you can use length function. If you want to count occurrences, you can use count function. Like let's say you have a tuple of numbers. You want to count occurrences. So you can use dot count. Let's say two. So it will tell you how many twos are there over here. Right? All of that is simple. Now coming to a little bit of operations, like I'm assuming everybody remembers all the list functions because it works with tuple as well. So all of them are same. Coming to operations, there are a little bit differences here. So the first thing we'll learn about is plus. Plus is used for concatenation. And again, this is something that works with list also. So if I have a list, let's say A, which is 1 comma 2, and I have a list B, which is let's say 8 comma 7. If you write A plus B, the list is concatenated together. It becomes 1, 2, 8, 7. You can store it in another list like this and have it as a third list as well. Same thing can be done with tuple also. If you have two tuples and if you add a plus in between, it gets added as one single tuple. So plus is used to join two tuples or two or more tuples. Plus is used for concatenation, right? Same way asterisk is used for repetition. So if I have a tuple, let's say 1 comma 2, and I multiply it with 4, so 1 comma 2 gets repeated 4 times over here. So asterisk is used for repetition, right? Clear till here, everyone? What about others? Everybody clear? All right. So if you guys are clear till here, can you quickly complete till here before we move to the rest of the parts of tuple? Let me know once you guys are done with the execution. I scroll down as well. Let me know once you guys are done. Guys, let me know once you guys are done. I'm waiting for you guys to be completing the execution and scrolling in between as well.
And Meghna, why this count is giving it as 3 in this nums dot count?
I'm counting the number of twos, right? There are 3 twos. That's
Okay,
why.
okay, okay. If we just give count, then it will count the number, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys, are we good to go ahead? Is everybody done? Can I get a yes or no? What about others? All right. Some let's see some more quick things in tuple and in list. So there is something called as membership operators. Membership operators are actually of two types. One is in and the other one is not in. And all it does is basically checks if an element is present in a list or tuple or if the item is not present. So it is basically checking if an element exists or not. And it's not about just list, it works with tuple also, right? So let's say you have this tuple f. So if I want to check that, let's say if kiwi is present in this particular tuple or not, I will write kiwi in f. It returns true, which means kiwi is present in f. If I would have checked something like orange in f, obviously it would have returned false, right? Because orange is not present as an element in f, right? Similarly, you can use not in as well. Not in will just check the opposite. If orange is not present in f, all it does is it checks if a value is present or is it not present in the tuple or in the list. With the same thing works with list also, right? So let's say L is a bigger list of numbers. And if I check if 3 is present in L, it will return true. I will check if 11 or let's say 1 is not present in L, it will return false because 1 is present in L. That's membership operator, right? Clear till here, everyone? Next up, we'll learn about tuple packing and unpacking. So this is actually a very simple concept, right? How I understood this concept is exactly how I am going to help you guys as well. So imagine a suitcase. Let's say you are heading out. So what will you do? You will pack all your stuff in the suitcase and you will go. So once you come back, you're going to unpack your suitcase, right? Same thing happens with tuple. You assign values to variables at once and while you unpack the same thing, right? Like for example, let's say you have three small bags. So let's say you have three small bags and you're trying to head out. What will you do? In the bigger suitcase, you will go and pack these three items. So for all these three items, you will put them in a single suitcase. Yes or no? That's called packing. Yes or no? Do you guys agree till here? Alright. Same way, while you come back from the trip, you have to unpack your suitcase as well. Now, because you know these in the suitcase, inside the suitcase, you have stored these three bags which are supposed to stay in these three containers. So, while unpacking, what will you do? You will put them in their respective small bags again, and that would be unpacking, right? You guys agree till here? Same concept works over here as well. Right? So when I know I have to pack multiple items, so let's say for example, I have three values or variables. A is equal to 9, B is equals to 8, and C equals to 6. If I have to pack them in a single tuple, I can write something like A, or let's say a new tuple T is equals to A, comma B, comma C. So now when you check T, they're packed in a single tuple. If you check what is the type of T, it's tuple. So this is called packing. This process is called packing because you're taking all the individual values and you're packing it in a single tuple T. Now, while you're trying to unpack, you know that there are three items. In T, there are three items. So you need three variables to store them. So if I write x comma y comma z is equal to T, now if you see, the value of x will be 9, the value of y will be 8, and the value of z will be 6. So to pack, I put all these three variables in a single tuple. To unpack, because I knew I had three variables, I assigned three variables at once to store the values present in that particular tuple. That's called unpacking. Is that clear for everyone? Other than that, just how the way you did list comprehension, you can also do tuple comprehension exactly similar way. So I can write T is equals to, just that within square brackets, you have to define the tuple. List is always defined within square brackets. So my bad. List is always defined using square brackets. So while you were doing list comprehension, you used square brackets. Tuple is always defined with round brackets or parentheses. That's why you will use round brackets for tuple comprehension instead of square brackets. If I write for I in range 1 comma 6, let's say I'm trying to store I to the power 2. So my tuple will store all the squares and present over here. Right? Clear till here, everyone? Okay. Now, if you see, once I run this particular code, the output, like this is again a tuple comprehension, right? This is what we exist. Now, the output over here is actually a generator object. Now, this is where things get a little tricky, right? So, what looks like a tuple comprehension is actually a generator expression. Generator is another thing in Python. It is something which generates numbers. It doesn't store the number in the output, or it doesn't store the number in the memory. It is just going to generate numbers. So it really doesn't make a tuple, but it makes a generator object. So when you use square brackets, Python creates a list comprehension. When you use parenthesis, it actually creates a generator expression and not a tuple, right? And generator expression is actually more efficient way to produce values one by one instead of storing all of them at once. So once your generator is generated, I can just loop over it. Like I can write for I in T, print I. So you will see that the values, the squares actually got printed one after one. It's just that it doesn't create an exact tuple out in the output, but instead it creates a generator object. Generator object is something which yields numbers or values one by one instead of storing them all at once, right? If it would have created a tuple, it would have stored all the number at once. So Python made this tuple comprehension part even more efficient and created a generator object, wherein if you loop through that generator object, you will get the values one by one, but it will not store the values in a memory and make it more efficient. Is this clear for everyone? Till here, is it clear for everyone? What about others? Is it clear till here? So unpacking in tuple is like destructing in JavaScript. Although I have not used JavaScript very extensively, but yeah, conceptually it is the same like Java's array destructing. They both are kind of same thing, like breaking down a collection of values and putting it into individual variables. So yeah, does that answer your question, Naeem? Can you please explain the generator object again? Yeah, sure. So when we talk about tuple comprehension, it is a slightly different thing in Python. So this looks like a tuple comprehension because I'm creating the tuple, storing it in a new variable and putting it out there. But what is actually being created is a generator object. Now, what is a generator object or a generator expression? It is nothing but a memory efficient way to produce your values one by one instead of storing them all at once, right? As simple as that, right? So, what generator expression does is it knows that this tuple t or this generator expression t is supposed to generate these numbers. So what it does is instead of actually creating a memory space where all these numbers are physically stored, it creates a generator expression. And generator expression is basically like uh think of it like a special tool in Python, which when you request will show you the numbers one by one, but won't store it in the memory at once. So that's why when I looped through T, I could get all the numbers, but when you print T, it's actually nothing but a generator expression. Got my point?
Yes, got it. So this generator object doesn't work with the list, right?
No, for
Lists
list,
are
when the
stored.
moment,
Okay.
yeah, the moment you put the square bracket is actually generates a list. It
Okay.
doesn't generate a generator. But if you really want a tuple in itself, like you don't want a generator, then you can convert it into a tuple using the tuple keyword. It will generate a tuple like this. But then this is not memory efficient. Got it? You can also convert it to a list. So if you write list of t, it will get converted to a list, right? Is it clear for everyone till here? What about others? Everybody's clear? Can you guys quickly complete till here if you guys are clear? Let me know once you guys are done. Okay, are you guys done till here? All right, are you guys back, everyone? Let me know in the chat box if you guys are back. All right, cool. So, are you guys up for some quick practice on tuples? Let me know if you guys are up for some quick practice on tuples. All right, so I have few questions that I have curated on tuples. I'll send those questions in the chat box as well. Can you guys get started to solve these questions? Let's see how much we can solve by today. Let me know the answers of each question that you are solving as well. All right. Why am I unable to iterate on generator object more than one? Okay. So see, the generator in Python is like a it's like a special type of iterator, right? And what it does is it yields value. That is, whenever you search what is a generator, everybody will tell you it yields value. What it means is It produces value one at a time. So only when needed. That's why it's called lazy evaluation also. Only when it's needed, it evaluates values one at a time, right? So, the generator expression that you're talking about, you can't iterate on it more than once, because when you iterate on a generator using a for loop or anything, it pulls the values one by one. And once a value is pulled, it's gone forever, because it's not saved in any memory or anything, like how a tuple saves or a list saves, right? So think of it like a one time use. That's it. That's how generators are used. So after the first iteration, the generator is exhausted and it has no more values left to give. It generated these values, you used a for loop, you could see it, and that's it. So it's a one-time use case. Got it? Is your doubt clear now? All right. So get started to solve the practice questions that I've sent, and send me the answers to all the codes one by one. They're all easy questions, so I'm supposing all of them should be done today. Ninth question is a list of tuple. Yeah, kind of, yes. And in fact, if even if you don't want to have it as a list of tuple, you can just have the coordinates x comma y coordinate in one single tuple. Just x comma y. Got it? Okay, I've been getting answers from two, three of you guys. What about others? Are you guys done, or how much of the questions are done for you guys? Let me know in the chat box how much is done for you guys. All right, I think let's discuss the doubts. Any question that you guys have a doubt in and you want me to solve it? Because I think the first few questions are the ones I exactly showed you the examples for. But any question that you want me to specifically take up or solve? Nobody? No questions? No doubts? Okay, then I'll give the answers for all the questions. First question, create a tuple of 5 colors, print the second and the last one. So second will always be index 1, last will always be index -1. Next question, tuple of 3 numbers and find their sum. So let's say you have a tuple called nums which has 3 numbers. The sum will be nothing but sum of nums, which is 60. Third question, check whether an element exists in a tuple or not. So this is exactly what we had checked or what we had learned just before this, right? So let's say you have a tuple of fruits. You want to check if banana is present in fruits. You can just print banana in fruits. Basically with membership operator. Fourth question, count how many times a specific value uh, appears in a tuple. Okay. So let's say you have a tuple called, again, let's take nums, and you can just count nums dot count 4. It will tell you the number of times the value 4 is present in the tuple nums. Then find the index of an element in a tuple. So let's say you have a tuple of cities. If you want to find the index of Kolkata, you can use cities dot index function and it will give you the value likewise. So this is the fifth question. Sixth question, concatenate two tuples into one tuple. This is again something we have learned. So just a simple plus operator will do the work. Next question, seventh question. Unpack a tuple into individual variables. Yeah, so you can do this thing. So let's say I have a tuple called person which has name, age, and job. And you can just unpack it with the similar number of variables. So name, age, and job. So we had 3 values in the tuple, so I just declared 3 variables for it. Next question. Swap two numbers using tuple unpacking. So this is actually very simple. So let's say A is equals to 10 and B is equals to 30. Swap means A will become 30 and B will become 10. So I can write A comma B is equals to B comma A. This is a classic example of swapping. So A becomes 30 and B becomes 10, which means here packing and unpacking is happening at the same time. Right? If you see, this is packing, right hand side is packing, and left hand side is unpacking. Right? Ninth question is okay, what's the ninth question? Tuple of coordinates and put them separately. So what I wanted you guys is just, I didn't want a exact list of tuples. You can put it with x comma y, just x comma y. So latitude will become x, longitude will become y. Last question, question number 10. Two numbers print all the elements that are common. This is what I wanted you guys to mainly work on. So if there are two tuples, let's say T1 and T2, the common ones, let's say I'm putting the common ones under one tuple. So what I'll do is I'll run a loop from in the first one. So let's say I write for I in T1. If I is present in T2, that means that is a common element. I will add that. And if you see, only the common elements 4 and 5 will get printed over here. Is it clear till here, everyone? Are you guys clear till here, everybody? So was today's session helpful for everybody? Did you learn all the things well? All right, let me send you guys the file. I'll share the file in the chat. Give me a moment. Okay, I've sent the file in the chat box. You guys can access it from there. And yeah, thank you so much, guys, for joining in. I'll see you guys in the next weekend again. Thank you.